Did you know that tea has been produced for over 4,000 years? The production of tea goes back as far as the 6th century, and it is the second most consumed drink in the world next to water. The discovery of tea is told as if it was a total accident. Legend has it that tea was discovered by the Chinese Emperor Shen Nong in 2737 BC. According to the legend, the emperor was sitting in his garden boiling his water, as he often did, and a few tea leaves fell from trees and landed in his water. After trying this newfound drink, he ordered his servants to plant tree bushes all around the garden, and with that, the newfound drink thrived quickly. It was used for medicinal benefits, and the upper classes would use it as gifts and would drink it at the social events that they hosted until the 6th century, where it was produced and distributed to everyone. Tea was a great discovery in the east side of the world, but the West did not discover this treasure until the 17th century. It started with the trading between China and Britain. It was sold at auctions and became very popular throughout Britain and the rest of Western Europe. And of course, when the English moved and settled to North America, they brought this great phenomenon with them, and from that point, tea has become a very popular and desirable drink. Tea is produced in various parts of the world. China is one of the largest centers of tea production, and they produce a wide variety of teas. The second largest, next to China, would be in Taiwan. Most black tea is produced in India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Kenya, and a lot of green tea is produced in the old Soviet Union, which is northern China and beyond, and in Japan. Here is a short video about the production of tea at the Pfunda Tea Estate in Rwanda.
Rwanda is a truly stunning country. The climate, elevation and geology make the landscape beautiful, but also ideally suited to tea production.
The way this tea is grown, it shows that the climate in Rwanda and the soil conditions are absolutely conducive to tea cultivation.
The volcanic soil, the height at which the tea's grown, the fantastic amounts of rainfall.
To produce the highest quality tea, the bushes require the correct amount of sunlight, rainfall and nutrients, and a pH level of between 4.5 to 5.5.
Which the soils in Rwanda, the tea area soils in Rwanda have that pH value. The other added advantage which we have over here is, being volcanic soils, the soils are very porous. The soils being very porous, it lends to better, deeper root penetration, which means better absorption of nutrients from the soil by the plant. Now, in conjunction with that, the climatic conditions are so good that we always receive rain. We are just 2 degrees below the equator, and there is no summer, winter. It's a very temperate, constant climate.
Rwanda has the perfect temperature range, which plays a key role in getting the best tasting tea leaves.
Okay, temperatures are absolutely conducive to tea growth. They never go below 11 degrees, and they're never higher than maybe in this area 28.
The fact that it's a cool temperature, so the tea grows slowly, giving it lots of time to absorb all these natural nutrients that are in the soil, giving it that extra special flavour and colour.
Climate favours tea culture, soil favours tea culture. Then we also, in the hill areas, have adequate people for labour. It's a very labour-intensive industry.
Now that we are here, we want to help them, and they are quite receptive to change. They are changing, as can be seen by the tea right behind us.
And we are producing the finest ETC teas in the world.
The tea plant is an evergreen of the Camellia family that is native to China, Tibet, and North India. There are 2 types of tea leaves. The small variety, the Camellia sinensis, thrives in cool mountain regions, and the broadleaf variety, the Camellia osmica, are best in moist tropical climates. Growing tea takes from 5 to 7 years from when you start planting the tea leaf to the initial tea harvest. They are planted by seeds in large amounts on plantations. Growing tea is very eco-friendly, and there are no problems with erosion, and pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides are not used. They are usually harvested during the summer and have a dormant period in the winter, but certain leaves have different windows for harvesting, so they can be harvested year-round. Here is a second video about the process of tea production.
There are many stages of production when producing the finest quality teas. The Pfunda Tea Company begins looking at quality even before the tea bushes are planted. the Graham family discovered a particular strain of tea bush that produces the very best quality tea.
Got 300,000 ready cuttings and we'll have space for another 100,000.
Each cutting in the nursery comes from this unique strain, and they are hand-selected to be matured into tea bushes. The quality of plucking at Funder Tea Company is exceptional. Funder achieves 70% of the perfect pick. That's 2 leaves and a bud. Other tea estates only achieve 30%, sacrificing quality for volume.
This is where the quality of tea is made. If you don't pluck properly, what you do in the factory will be secondary.
Each area has an agronomist and a manager, and regular field visits are made to check the quality and train the cooperatives.
When you take off dormant bud, the time it takes for the axillary bud to become a pluckable shoot is the same as active bud. So you're saving 50 days each time you remove a dormant bud. So you must remove dormant buds while plucking. It has to be a part of your plucking regime. They were not exposed to the new techniques of harvesting. They are willing. They want to change because it results in higher production. But the most important is the timing and the quality of plucking which is being done, which is what we want to improve on a daily basis. We want to keep quality in mind. We don't want to sacrifice quality for an increase in production, because if you don't make good tea, then there's no point in being in the market.
The freshly plucked leaves are taken to one of several collection points in the field, where they are weighed by a cooperative representative and checked for quality.
Two leaves and a bud, that's the perfect, exactly what we want. That's the leaf that we want to come into the factory. That will produce the best tea.
The polyphenol content, what is responsible for making the best cup of tea, is the highest in a bud. It's about 30%, and it reduces, when you come to your second leaf, it comes down to about 28. Third leaf, 26. The higher the polyphenol content, the better your cup of tea.
On reaching the Funder Tea Factory, the leaves are checked again by both a factory and cooperative worker. It's then hoisted up to begin the complicated and intensive process for creating tea.
As soon as a leaf comes in, the first thing we need to do is get rid of the surface moisture, which we do by running it in reverse. So the top surface moisture gets evaporated. What you do is, this is experience way of testing. You make a ball and you see how it opens. This will be about a 74% wither. Another 2% more and it will be ready. We want to bring down the weight from 100 kilos to 72 kilos.
With recent investment, the Funder Tea Factory now has 4 sets of cut, tear, curl (CTC) machines. This allows them to cut the green leaf more gently at each stage, generating less heat and damage to the leaf. At this stage, the complexity of tea making becomes very apparent, as it depends heavily on the weather as to how long the fermentation process will take. The finely cut leaf turns from a bright green to a bright golden brown, before the final drying stage that turns it into the recognisable black tea. At every stage, testing and tasting takes place regularly, so that they can identify the perfect moment to move the tea on to the next process.
And that is a really bright infusion. You see how beautifully bright that is. Just look at the cup, it just shouts out at you. It's bright, it's got flavour, just what we want.
There are 4 major types of tea. There is green tea, black tea, oolong tea, and white tea. Each type has their own certain steps in the production process. Green, black, and oolong tea come from the upper leaves of the tea plant, while the white tea comes from the lower leaves and buds of the plant. The first production that I'm going to talk about is the production of green tea. Green tea is often referred to as non-fermented, which means it preserves the healthy and natural elements of the leaves. Green tea is the second most popular tea next to black tea. It is often made during the springtime in China and Japan. Its production is a 3-step process. The first step in the process of green tea is to pluck the tea leaves from the bushes and to get rid of excessive moisture or wither them. Then the leaves are left out for about 20 hours or until they get soft. Once these leaves are softened, they are ready for the next step. The next step in this process is rolling. Usually the tea leaves will go to the factory for this where there are rollers. The leaves are rolled up into various shapes and then they are dried. The excess leaves that break off while being rolled go through the sifter and are also used to make tea. After these 3 steps are completed, the leaves are boiled in hot water and that produces green tea, or they're fired in woks to make tea. The most popular type of tea is black tea. This type of tea originated in China and there it is known as red tea. The production of black tea is a 4-step process. This process consists of withering, rolling, oxidizing, and drying. The process is similar to the production of green tea, but there is a step added. Like the green tea, the leaves are plucked and withered. After they are withered, they are taken to the factories to be rolled. Rolling the leaves releases chemicals in the leaves that gives it its final color and flavor. After the leaves are rolled, they are put into cool and humid rooms and are exposed to oxygen for a long period of time, and the chemicals change the leaves to a copper red color. This is called fermenting. As opposed to green tea, black tea is a fermented drink. After this, the leaves are dried and, like the green tea, fired in hot woks or baked to make the tea. The third type of tea that I'm going to talk about is oolong tea. Oolong tea is a semi-fermented drink. It is hand-picked during the spring and winter seasons in southeast China and in Taiwan. This production process is the longest and most difficult process method. They cannot be picked too early and have to be processed right at their peak, or they will be ruined. The other leaves. These are plucked and withered in direct sunlight. Once they have withered, they are shaken gently in bamboo baskets until they are slightly bruised on the sides. Then they are left in the shade to air out until they turn a light yellow color. They do not usually turn yellow right away and must go through the shaking and drying process multiple times. After they have reached the desired oxidation level, they are pan-fired to prevent any more oxidation. Once this is done, they are ready for the shelves, and they last longer than any other tea. White tea is the rarest of the 4 types of tea that we have talked about, and unlike the others, the white tea comes from the lower leaves and the buds of tea plants. White tea is hand-picked during a small window of the year, during the springtime. It is made from the young leaves of the Camellia sinensis tea plant. This plant is mostly harvested in China. The name comes from the white hairs that are still on the tea buds on the freshly harvested plants. Once white tea is produced, it is a pale white color. White tea is the most delicate and rarest of teas. The buds are picked before they open in the early spring. After they are picked, they are withered and dried slowly at low temperatures. Unlike the other 3 processing methods, the white tea leaves are not rolled and only slightly oxidized. This is the entire process, and it results in a mild and sweet taste in the tea. These are some of the factories that the tea leaves go to after they have been withered and dried, and they are ready to be rolled and oxidized. Because of the history of tea leaves and through the production of all these different types of teas, today we can drink these delicious teas, and if we just add some sugar, we can have sweet tea, which is a very, very popular drink in the South and at McDonald's.